Hi friends! Today we have a cream blush roundup, my most recent cream blush purchases, what I've been using thoroughly, as well as comparing to other cream blush products that I bought last year, and lastly, my favorite tools to use to apply these fave cream blush products. If it's your first time here, hi, I'm Alicia, love to talk and teach beauty. I'm also an online coach that focuses on flexibility and mobility, so I love to do both things, you know, just talk about the beauty and do little flexy. Again, today we're getting into my current cream blush favorites, and this is something I do for myself to prepare for the onslaught of cream blush products I think we'll see going forward. Instead of buying those new makeup items right away, I remember what I have in my collection, and pulling out all these pieces for the video definitely encourages me to like chill out for a minute. To start with my most recent cream liquid blush purchases, I present the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. These come in two categories. I believe one that has more of a glowy finish and another that has a matte finish. I have 4 shades in total: Believe, Joy, Love, and Hope. I think I first purchased, it was probably Joy and Hope, these two here. And the first time I used these blushes, I immediately fell in love with the texture, with the color. I think they're fairly easy to use. This is from Hope, and you see it's not too liquidy and not too creamy either. It has an easy to blend consistency, and I think fairly easy to apply on the cheeks. And one of my most favorite ways to do so is with my fingers. You dot it here, as I like to do on the apples of the cheeks, and lightly tap the product so that the edges blend easily. And you can see how effortless that is with the application, which is why I recommend this for beginners, because I know some can feel intimidated by cream blush products. This is in the shade Joy. Will have a little more punch than the one previously applied, and in the same fashion, just tapping that product around and on the cheeks, and you can build accordingly. If you want a little more color, then you can apply more, whether higher or lower on the cheeks, and go in with fingers again, or if you rather, you can use a sponge or a brush. Now you can see that definitely livened up my complexion, and the same thing goes with the Warm Wishes cream blush stick, which I can't find it. I don't know where it went. I wanted to show it today because I wanted to compare it to the Saie Natural Cream Bronzer, which I'll speak about in a minute. But these two products, the Rare Beauty blush, or rather liquid blush, and cream bronzer sticks, phenomenal. One of the easier cream liquid products I think on the market to use, extensive in the shade range. It could be more extensive in the Warm Wishes bronzer range. I think they needed 2 or at least 1 more deeper shade after I think the 5th one that they have in their line. The liquid blush range is pretty comprehensive, ranging from cooler, warmer tones, coral, muted pink, more magenta pink, reddish tones, terracotta hues. So these are fantastic. I think they rest on the light to moderate part of the pigmentation spectrum. Not too much, not too little. You definitely have to build up the color. You see how easy it is to blend, but something like, let's say, the LYS Satin Matte Cream blushes, they pack a punch on the first application. And if you feel that's a little too much, although very easy to blend, I understand why you would consider another product that's a little lighter in the pigment delivery. These don't have any fragrance either, which is why I adore the product as well. And again, I just love the effortless application. I have foundation on. I do think these are best applied with a finger. With the brush, I think it takes away a little too much product, but that might mean you have to start with a little bit more to begin with. So I'm taking a brush here, and again, it's so silky and lightweight on the skin that I feel really easy to place and blend anywhere on the face. So that is the Rare Beauty. Wanted to give that a bit of a spotlight. And of course, I have to mention my most recently purchased Rose Ink, the Dewy blush. This is the only shade I have. It's in Foxglove. This is an amazing formula because I love And I know this word can be taken out of context, but I love the stickiness of it. It adheres to the skin well without disrupting your foundation, and you can apply this with fingers or a brush. I haven't used this with a sponge, so I can't speak to that, but I love finger application. I absolutely adore this with my Sonia classic base. The brush perfectly pounces on product on the apples of my cheeks, and again, equally so with my fingers. You can see it's a little tight in the pan. You get a lot of product. Despite that, it's so satisfying to apply. Again, there's like a little bit of tackiness when applied on the face, where it just kind of guides your application, and the glow it leaves behind is absolutely beautiful. This is a lovely shade that I'm happy I picked up. There are other shades in the Dewy blush line from Rose Inc, but I fell in love with Foxglove. I'm satisfied with it. Yes, I'm sure the other shades are gorgeous, but given the fact that I have already so many Rare Beauty blushes, I chilled a little bit on that. You could go in with a brush to take away some product if you applied too much, to refine the edges a little bit. And there's a glow that's left behind that I think just radiates that dewiness, that freshness of your complexion, especially if you're on the drier side of the skin type spectrum. Useful for a formula to be a little tacky and dewy, but again, it doesn't feel greasy or heavy on the skin. Despite the tackiness, it still feels lightweight. Again, does not disrupt your makeup blend, whether it was cream or liquid foundation. It just lays on the skin beautifully in a way that leaves behind a lovely glow that livens up the complexion. And I can't stop using this. It's incredible, which leads me to, and this is a bold statement, but I think this is my most favorite cream bronzer product. It's the Saie. I've been using this thing like crazy. I adore its versatility, whether you want to apply it by itself on its own, no tinted moisturizer, no liquid, whatever, just on its own by itself. It's such a softer approach to bronzer, which I think is a great departure from just like that more precise application where bronzer was used for contour, I think a few years back. It wasn't used for that sun-kissed glow aesthetic, which I think bronzer should be for. And then there was the distinction between bronzer and contour, right? Contour usually is a more neutral, cool undertone that will sculpt the face. It's a more precise application. It stayed in the hollows of the cheekbones and didn't spread too far from that region. But with bronzer, I think the application is more carefree. You can leave the hollows of the cheeks. It could spread a little high, maybe a little low. That's realistically what a tan will look like. But the color of the Saie, I think it's just a true brown that no matter what you pair this with, it doesn't look muddy. There's a little bit of yellow, definitely, but I like that. No matter which blush I pair this with, it matches beautifully. It gives a soft gradient into the blush. If you wanted to skip blush altogether, you can use this color for your blush. For instance, if I wanted to start at the hollows of my cheeks, I'll start here, bring it down, and it's just amazing. I love this product. I love the fact that I can use it under makeup, over makeup, without the makeup. It plays well with others no matter what you pair it with. It's so easy to use and blend. It's soft, but it's not greasy. It doesn't feel heavy. It's lightweight with just this emolliency that makes it seamless to blend. Fingers, I actually sometimes when I'm in a super rush, and yes, so much in a rush I can't even grab another brush, I go in with my fingers and I just tap on the bronzer and it blends like a dream. This is a fantastic product. I have been using it like wild with all my other cream liquid blush products and no complaints here. And I'll mention this also, the Natasha Denona Glam Face palette. These were a total hit. But I have to say, as much as I love Natasha's products, I much prefer the Rose Inc over the formula found here in the face palette. I know, shocker. The face palette is a little drier. It doesn't have the same tackiness again, which I adore. That might not be for everyone. This is from the light palette, so definitely more of a peachy hue, not as saturated as the one found in the dark palette. I just prefer Foxglove over this one, and you know what, let me just get it. This is from the dark palette. It has more of a terracotta hue. I still prefer Foxglove in terms of the shade and the consistency. The cream products found in the Glam Face palettes are a little drier. They have like a more moussey texture to them that some people liked and some people just did not. They didn't get down with it. So that really all depends. But overall, when trying both products, I much prefer the Rose Ink. I also prefer the Rare Beauty, but from everything I just presented, the Rose Ink rises to the top. I actually prefer Rose Ink over Rare Beauty. As much as I like the Rare Beauty liquid blushes, there's something about the Rose Ink that I don't know, it's just the texture is perfect. It's perfect. Now to compare these with my previous favorites. Who can forget the classic Tower 28? When these first hit the shelves, my goodness, you cannot get your hands on one color specifically. I believe it's Golden Hour. Whew. Golden Hour is your perfect like sun-kissed glow. Look at that shade. It's incredible. This reminds me of the Rose Ink. Very similar in consistency, very tight and creamy on the pan. There's a tackiness to it, which again, so satisfying to apply, but it does not lift your makeup. It just applies perfectly. Again, I prefer to use fingers, and what's notable, it's just the shades. To have like this orange tone, coral tone cream blush, my goodness. And the other one I adore, Magic Hour. Ooh, Magic Hour leans a little more pink. So it's not as coral as Golden Hour as you see, but ooh, Magic Hour is my perfect everyday. It's like a muted pink, barely there flush of color. It just gives the right amount of pink without it looking too bright. And even though overall cooler in undertone than Golden Hour, it still works. But freaking look at Golden Hour, man. I can't get over that color. It is the best. The other shade, Power Hour, this was from their second release. So they released 3 initially. I believe those were Golden Hour, Magic Hour, and Rush Hour. Rush Hour had more of a peachier tone compared to the others. So that was more peachy. I love these 3. And then probably maybe 6 months to a year later, they released 3 other shades. One was more of like a wine berry After Hours, so we're getting a little plummy there. The one that I felt was a little tricky on my skin tone, I can only speak for my skin tone, of course it's mine, Power Hour. Power Hour is a gorgeous mauve, but if I applied it too low, it looked muddy on me. So I do have to keep this color higher on the cheekbones, as I would with After Hours, the plummier shade, just higher so it could sculpt a little bit with this tone. Otherwise, it will look a little heavy on the apples of my cheeks. And then there was Happy Hour. Was it Happy Hour that released with the first 3? Maybe I'm mixing them up. One of the pinkier shades, maybe I have to swap out. But Happy Hour, you know, you can't go wrong with the hot pink. This will always be a go-to shade for multiple skin tones on the spectrum, right? If you're lighter, go lighter. If you're deeper, this will look vibrant. And the cream bronzers, you have Best Coast and West Coast. These have shimmer in them. So that is something to consider if you like the more tacky glow left behind with Tower 28, but you like that it doesn't have shimmer. Cream blushes are great. The cream bronzers, they do have shimmer, so they're going to leave behind a little more sparkle Now, that's not for everybody, but what I can say, when you do apply this cream bronzer, it leaves, even though it's a little shimmery, it just has a nice glow to the skin that doesn't look artificially shimmery. Pearl blends well into the skin. It doesn't look obvious. I really like it. The blend is easy. I just apply this with my fingers and it is gorgeous, especially when you combine it with the cream blushes. Forget it. So I still use Tower 28. I think it's one of the best performing cream blushes on the market. So packaging, I adore. It's simple, it's clear. I don't have to flip behind and like, what was golden hour? Although we will never forget what golden hour looks like. It's just simple, very small. You could pack maybe 2 or even 3 of these in your makeup bag to go, you know, get away with a little extra because it's a small compact. I would love to see more colors from them. I would love to see a cream highlighter from them. Do they have a liquid highlighter product? I have to check. And I think they have like their sun tint or whatever it is. I would love to see a cream highlighter product from Tower 28. I think they will nail it just based on my experience with their cream blush and cream bronzer products, please. Now, we cannot continue this video without mentioning LYS, and they also released 3 brand new cream blush shades that I have not purchased yet. I'm holding on to my sanity. I have all the shades from the original release. I think I have like 5 in total. There's like 5 or 6 in total. This is the higher standard satin matte cream blush. A little drier than what we've seen from Tower 28, from Rose Inc. It's a little bit of both. It's satin and matte. Now, although a little drier, it's still very creamy, but look at that pigmentation. Again, as I had mentioned with Rare Beauty, you don't get much on the first dab. You have to layer on the color to get it to the intensity you want. LYS is giving you that intense color just from the first swirl. It's not as tacky as Tower 28 or Rose Inc, but it still has a creaminess to it that I feel very easy to apply with fingers and or a brush. And the shade range is incredible. You have a little bit of everything here. My favorites between Confident and Inspire. Inspire is like that hot coral shade that I would put in the same category as Golden Hour, just like that hot summer shade where is coral is orangey. It gives you that spiciness to your complexion that makes it look like you've been out but without the sun damage. Confidence is fantastic. It's like this muted pink that has a little brown in it, but anything brown pink serves as like my go-to everyday color. It reminds me of Magic Hour from Tower 28. This is lighter, but that same muted pink look is, you see how different it is, but again, like the undertone is muted, which I love for every day. I can't continue without mentioning the Melt Cream Blushlights. Yes, I kept the box. I've used these products. I just put the compacts back in the box because I can't get rid of this. Are you kidding me? In terms of texture, Melt has a lighter, more emollient feel to their cream blushes, as well as 2 different formulas. Much like Rare Beauty, Melt has the no shimmers and then you have ones with shimmers. So hands down, my most favorite out of the entire collection is Sandy Cheeks. Sandy Cheeks is a unique shade that I feel I did not have in my other cream blushes. This is your burnt peach. They nailed this shade. They freaking nailed it. I can't get enough of this. It is one of my most favorite colors and textures. This I would put in the category of beginner. I would put this in the same category as the Rare Beauty in terms of makeup technique level, because this is lighter weight than the other cream blushes here. It doesn't have the same tackiness or tightness as the Tower 28 or the Rose Inc or even the LYS. It kind of reminds me of the Saie. The Saie has like this, it's very silky on the touch. You don't have to apply a ton of pressure like you do again with the others mentioned. You could just skim your finger across the surface, whereas the other ones you gotta put in that moving and grooving, okay? And it's so silky on the blend. So silky on the blend. And my next favorite, ooh, Lynx. Lynx has the shimmers in there, and I love to use Lynx as a blush topper. So this is going to have a little more, you see there, oh my goodness, right here, right at the top. And I adore this finish because it doesn't look overly shimmery. It just melts, and it has like that pearl finish instead of that highlight finish, which I prefer to have on the apples of my cheeks anyway. Now, unfortunately, the melt does have a little bit of a fragrance. It's like a vanilla. Not overwhelming. It disappears throughout the day, so it doesn't stick with you, or it doesn't stick with me. Everyone's different in terms of the olfactory category of things. I wish they didn't put any fragrance in it. It would have been a great product. It's still a great product, but spectacular if it was fragrance free. One of Melt's best complexion products. I did not try their contour stacks, and those, I think it came in powder and in cream. So I didn't check off all the boxes in terms of that, but I can say with confidence that this is one of their best complexion products. For cheeks, please. And lastly, to mention Westman Atelier. I had mentioned Westman Atelier in my previous video that I dropped last year in February. It was like a cream blush roundup video. I also did a blush live in July of last year, speaking about not just cream blushes, but my favorite powder products as well. Westman always finds itself there. I only have one color, Doo-Doo. This is in between, let's say it's between LYS and Melt for me in terms of the texture. It's not too dry, but it's not too slippy either like the Melt is. And considering that it's in a stick, it's rather emollient on the first application. So you can really get a nice dose here without disrupting your foundation, which is what I found, unfortunately, the Mario did. The Mario stick, you gotta warm up. If you apply the Mario stick on top of your foundation, I think it will move. It's best if you strike the stick with a brush first, or even a sponge, or even your fingers, or take product on the back of your hand and pick it up with a brush and then place it on your cheeks. If you just go in straight with the stick, I think it's just too dry of a texture for that initial smooth application. And I also wish they designed this without the brush end. I mean, I don't usually use a brush end, and I do appreciate the thoughtfulness behind the design, considering a makeup buyer who doesn't have brushes, they don't want to use fingers, so they need something with the product. I get that. I think, however, they will be open to maybe using their fingers, you know, like finger painting. And if they have a brush that they love, they probably could get away with using it, especially if it's synthetic. They'll be fine. And lastly, the Lisa Eldridge Enlivening Blush. The blush shades in the Lisa Eldridge line are just so sophisticated. I mean, they hit the nuances of blush color. One of my most favorites is Venetian Red, which is just to die for. But the number one critique, unfortunately, is that these tubes, they're a little tough to work with. Depending on which blush shade it is, it could be tough to squeeze out. Some are a little liquidy and some are super dry. Like Venetia Red is really dry and hard to take out of the tube. The color is phenomenal, however, when you get it out of the tube. So I think I have to put these in jars, because although I like the tube, it's just, you know, you gotta do a little mixing before you gotta squeeze. Hey, swatches. You gotta squeeze it before you squeeze it out of the spout. These do have fragrance as well, unfortunately. Wish she had omitted it, but you know what are you gonna do? I don't use these as often because they are tough to squeeze out, and because of that, it takes longer for my makeup application. Like, I would have to squeeze this on the back of my hand or a palette to make sure that I don't overdo it straight from tube to cheek, whereas the other ones are compacts and it's just like dab dab and you're done. That's the disadvantage, but I'm going to maybe I'll get a palette instead and just squeeze the product in the palette so I have it with me. Oops, I said it was the last one, but it's not. I got one more. Salt New York. Many of you have brought up this brand in my last cream blush roundup video, and I completely forgot about this product. I am so mean. It's because it was hidden deep in my drawer. This is what happens when you buy too much makeup. You forget about what you got. Okay, these are great because they are sold as individual pans, as you see, and you can curate your palette whether you have one already or you want to buy one of theirs. It looks like a wallet, so the design is very elegant. You know, it tricks you. I have the cream blush shade. What shade is this? This is in medium. And I've had this for a little bit, so the consistency is creamy. There is a tightness to it. You can see compared to the Saie has a little bit more yellow, I feel, than the Salt Cream Bronzer. The two blush shades I purchased for lip and cheek, we have Raspberry. You gotta warm it up a little bit. It's been in that palette for a little while. So that's a really nice all-over shade that I could probably apply higher on the cheeks. And of course, I had to go with a coral option. That was the more like grown and sexy color. This got a little tight on me, but again, it's been in there for a while, so you have to warm it up for sure. Gorgeous color, reminds me of Golden Hour, but Golden Hour, you see, has a lot more shine, a lot more pigmentation. This is, I think, middle of the road. It reminds me of the LYS. And they also have cream highlighters. This is Warm Tan. I probably could have went a little lighter because this is, as you see, it's warm, but it works. I probably have to apply it a little lower than higher, because if I apply it higher, then when I turn head on, you'll probably see a little bit of a shadow there. But really nice, I think, lower on the apples of my cheeks, especially if I apply it on top of another blush that's there already, another cream product. To quickly go over my favorite tools to apply cream blush and or cream bronzer with, as you saw, I love a synthetic and natural hair brush mix because you get the best of both worlds. Fantastic pickup, smooth on the skin, very soft and plush while blending, but the synthetic fibers won't take away product as natural hair brushes do. So you have the perfect delivery of pigmentation, I feel. If you wanted to use all synthetic, I have an example here. This is my Chikuhodo AF-3 brush. Is a cheek brush, round, domed at the top. This is all synthetic fiber. It's longer, so you can get that wispy swirl around technique when applying your cream blush. You can pick it up straight from the pan or apply some on the back of your hand first and then place it on the cheeks, and that will allow you better control in determining the intensity of the color. This is the Spectrum KJH Hughes collaboration brush in 03. This is stippled, all synthetic, so if you want more of a wispier type of application, maybe more lightweight in that department, you can use more of a stippling. Is it stippling or stippling? You can use more of the stippling brush. That feels great on the skin. Now the longer bristles allows, again, that wispier touch of color as opposed to something that's more dense and domed like the Chikuhodo. You can clearly see from the display alone, this is going to deliver a lot more color. Another favorite is the BK Beauty brush. This is from their travel set. It's the 107. If you wanted to apply cream blush in a fashion that mimicked very much you applying a powder blush product, then a bristle that's longer, flat on both sides, and this is all synthetic, so you can safely use this with cream and or liquid products, then that will be the technique of your choice and of course the tool of your choice if you wanted more of that experience versus something that you tap on, whereas you will have to blend around the edges, whereas you can strike against the cheeks like you would apply a powder product. And if that makes you more comfortable, that you're used to that approach more so than the tap and blend around, then this is a great pick also. And lastly, fingers, my favorite way. You can feel the anatomy of your face better. You're more in control. It's not as sanitary, of course, so make sure you wash your hands. And if you're working on a client, someone else's face, make sure your hands are clean and you can tap around. And the advantage of a finger blend versus a brush one is that skin to skin contact is going to give you the best blend. The warmth from your hands will naturally naturally melt the product more so than the brush, right? And because of that warmth, the blend is more seamless, it's more skin-like in finish, more natural. So that is the advantage, although I understand if you cannot use your fingers, maybe they're dirty, okay? You're en route and you have to use a blush. I don't like sponges because you have to clean those things every day, and if you don't, they can get dirty and gross very quickly. So I prefer a brush. And you're like, well, Alicia, your brushes get dirty too. You wipe them on a towel, and you could also clean them. With sponges, it's like you can never get the soap and water out completely. I feel a little more stays after each use. This is just in my head, by the way. I don't like sponges even for washing dishes. I have like one of those handy wipe rags that are not sponges, so you can really wring out the excess successfully. That's just a thing with me and sponges. I used to use sponges a lot, and I think they have a role in makeup application, taking away excess product. The moisture from the sponge helps products look more skin-like and finish. I get it. I understand the advantages, but I don't like sponges. That's why I don't use them a lot. I only primarily use the tools that I just presented, whether it's natural hair, natural synthetic, synthetic only, all natural hair. The advantage is because natural hair takes away more product than synthetic does. It's all trial and error, but these are mostly the tools that I use when dealing with the products that I showed in this video. So those are my standout cream blushes, and I know the Sephora sale is coming up, so if you happen to be Rouge and you'll get the 20% off, fantastic if you had your eye on any of these items. But I wanted to revisit products that I bought last year or last year because like the Tower 28, again, unparalleled, sensational, hands down. No matter what cream product I purchase, I always end up comparing it to Tower 28. I don't know why. I think it really just set the standard for me for a cream blush product. Now getting into summertime, because it's a little more emollient, the lifespan might be shorter, but I'm not too sure about that. I think it's pretty good lifespan wise when presented in more humid conditions. And I think also the look and the feel aligns with that environment where naturally you're gonna sweat a little more, you're gonna be a little hot on the cheeks. To worry about your makeup not melting when it's super hot, I mean, all bets are off. So might as well wear a product that will leave your skin looking dewy, especially if you're dry anyway. If you're oily, maybe powder first. I like to powder first so that it can reinforce from underneath and not take away the glow when applied on top. I think you would still want that shine on your cheeks, but the powder underneath is just going to help the product adhere to the skin better, as well as keep it on there longer, I think. Or if you wanted more pigmentation, then you take your powder blush first, apply that, and then the cream blush on top for reinforcement. Let me know what your favorites are down below, fam. If you had your eye on any of these that I showed in the video, what your favorites are, your favorite colors, what you think could be improved, all that jazz. Products that I did not have and you're like, you really should get this, Alicia. The enabling is allowed. Totally. I'll see you down there, fam. And until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, cream blush extravaganza, monthly favorites, or vlog. Take care, and I will see you again soon.